Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about I didn't leave the church left me. I know it kind of sounds like like a little schoolyard boy type of thing, but I really feel that family family should be different from the church is, because now with me leaving the church, I'm faced with choosing out of not just the church, but choosing out of so many family traditions um, that I'll be seen very different from my family. And so I'm gonna get into that with several different points. Um, the first point being that if I've disagreed with major points in church history or points against the church truth claims, for some reason it seems like I'm the one at fault, because they call it a faith crisis, meaning that I just don't have enough faith, enough belief to go through um, with a life that's faithful, that's believing in the church's truth claims. And my whole family's in the church. I don't want to leave them. I want my family relationships to be the same as they've been, and they've been growing, and it's been beautiful. But now it's like I have to restart, start over because I no longer believe, and they do. So it's kind of this hostage situation where I feel like the church is holding my family hostage from me because I've changed. I just have to believe again, and I'll be back and have all those wonderful discussions about the kingdom of God and the gospel. And that's just hard. And there's really no place for me unless I conform in the church and become another faithful member. There doesn't seem to be this middle ground. You believe Joseph Smith was a prophet, or you don't. You believe in the Book of Mormon. It's not really a place for me to not believe any of this stuff and still be part of the tradition. That's interesting. So I feel kind of forced out in a way. I feel like better constructive words are a truth crisis. Because you're trying to find truth. The truth is the focal point, instead of a faith crisis where the individual is the one at issue. Really, it's the truth. It's being honest and genuine with myself. That's where the decision is. And so the church, I don't feel is coming forward and speaking to this point like I feel that they should be. My whole family's in the church, and I don't want to leave them or leave those relationships because those relationships are important to me. And there's several events and traditions in my family that we have and done, and I'm one of 8 kids right there in the middle. And so I'm going to talk about the different family traditions that we have and how it's really intertwined, our family traditions, with being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Um, and right when you start out there, you have baptism. Baptism, you get dressed up in white. I remember being dressed up in white, my dad baptizing me, my grandparents, which I didn't have too many at the time, and aunts and uncles giving talks about how special that covenant is, baptism. And it's something that's so special. I'm going to go into how special all these events are, and how difficult it is to have to decide to leave that. And so you got baptism, you got reading scriptures every day. I remember waking up and we have all the scriptures around. My mom did a really good job at this and having oatmeal ready, and we'd read scriptures. She tried to make it really fun. And we would read scriptures together. Every Monday evening, we would do family home evening. I know now you can do that any day that you choose, but just one day a week. You have mutual, where you get together with the other young boys or young girls of your age in your class, and you do projects and you learn different things. I really had a lot of fun at mutual. Things that you really enjoy in the church that you're kind of, you have to choose out of if you don't, it's a weird thing. Sunday meetings, they were 3 hours, now they're 2 hours. You have sacrament with your family, and then you go to your class, like Priesthood, Relief Society, or primary, if you're that young, or a class that it's up your age. And there's the preparing and blessing of the sacrament that I would do as a deacon, teacher, and priest. And then you would receive the priesthood as an elder, and you would go on a 2-year mission that you'd be preparing for, that you'd be talking with your parents, and then you become a man, and you come back from that. Oh, and I skipped a couple. There's General Conference that you have 2 times a year, April and October, and you have pretty much an all-day experience Saturday and Sunday. Saturday being 3 sessions, 2 hours each. Sunday being two sessions, 2 hours each. And then you have EFY, or especially for youth, where is where a lot of my testimony came from, because there were these testimony meetings that were so, people were crying, they were having amazing experiences, and I felt it. I felt that emotion, and I took that to be the Spirit, and I testified that I knew that the church was true because of that, not because of really looking into anything that the church was or its history or anything, just because I felt it. You have a patriarchal blessing that you receive around. I received mine when I was 14, and it has different words and phrases that predict your life and blessings that you can achieve if you're faithful and keep covenants. Something that's really beautiful. Your parents are there when you receive it, and it's just something that can kind of be there as a guide for you. You got the trek. The trek, I remember very fondly, dressing up as a pioneer, pulling a hand cart. They released a bison and chased it down on horseback, and they shot it up in the distance. And then we eventually got there, and they were gutting it and telling stories about how the pioneers would, food and different things. We actually got a piece of it, cooked it up, and ate it. It was actually really good. And there's one particular part of the trek where they send you off on your own with your scriptures and with a letter that your family's written you. And it's been a couple of days, since you've seen them, and you've been up, with this hand cart. You're tired, you're pushing, like it's kind of hard. And so you read this from your parents, and it's something so special. And I remember praying if the church was true at that point again. I felt love. That's just an amazing experience that I had. You have seminary during high school, all 4 years of high school. I had seminary classes where you go through all of the scriptures, and you're taught a lot of what the church believes, kind of hiding some of the maybe weird stuff about the church. You got institute during college, or if you're at BYU, like me, you took different religious courses in the Book of Mormon, the Book of Abraham. Yeah, I remember those ones distinctly. There's a lot of church things, a lot of church traditions, a lot of church things that you do that is a part of your life, a part of your family's life. You have baptisms for the dead that relate to the temple, where you go and you get baptized for people that didn't have the opportunity to get baptized. Like, how cool is that? That's special. You're giving people chances and opportunities to accept the gospel. Endowments, you take out covenants to do certain things, and it kind of leads your life in a certain way. You're given garments where you wear all the time, I guess, unless you're swimming. And I'll speak to that. Just if you're not wearing your garments, like I'm not, it's a little bit weird around your family that are wearing garments and they know you're not, because those covenants are what get us into the celestial kingdom, where every seat is filled, with our family there together. That's kind of the promise we make to each other when we sealed and we take out our covenants. And that's just kind of hard for me, just to be like, like I love you guys as family. Like, why can't we just each other like that, and not necessarily judge each other based on whether we're wearing garments or not. I don't want to say judge, but I mean, there is judgment there. I don't know, maybe there's a better word for that, but I just wish the relationship wouldn't change. And then you got serving a mission, which is huge. It's like the becoming a man or woman trial of fire that you go through, and you serve your time. You do your time. You put in your 2 years or less if you're a woman, and for some reason that should be the same, but it's not. And I had fond memories, on my mission, and talking with my parents and the things that I'm learning, and that's something you choose out of when leaving the church. Temple marriage. Temple marriage is something that me and my wife did, and we immediately started having children because we felt like we needed to. And we started repeating all of these church traditions, primary, and one of them is getting close to baptism age, which we won't be likely baptizing. So it's just kind of sad to be taking all these traditions away from my extended family. Our place there with them feels kind of weird because that's where we're at. And you also got obeying covenants like word of wisdom, no coffee, chewing tobacco, smoking tea, beer, wine, all of these things. If I'm sitting there and just having a cup of coffee, it's kind of the same difference of like not wearing my garments around my family. It's just something that's different, and we shouldn't be looked at like that. We should just it should be different. Church and family should be separated. Church and state are separated. I don't know, something like that. You get law of chastity, like no premarital sex, no living together. Safe sex wasn't really taught to me. I didn't really have an issue with this when I was growing up. I was what you would call a Peter Priesthood kind of guy. And even in my school, we had a sex education class, and many parents would remove their children from the school system sex education class. Luckily, mine didn't, but even then, it was a very watered down version. They might have mentioned a little bit about a condom and stuff. Wow, they do not go into it like it should. And then my parents, of course, of no fault of theirs, it's just kind of how and the church kind of goes along. But I wasn't taught anything about sex. I had to learn it all on my own when just before we're getting married, like researching on the internet stuff. And you don't want your kids doing that necessarily, or maybe you do, but like it needs to be an open conversation. For me, it wasn't. And so law of chastity, I think, is something that's behind this because it kind of puts a little bit of shame towards sex. Sex is bad, 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 bad. And then you get married and all of a sudden it's good. And people have this issue of realizing that it is good, or that sex is just for kids, or just for, it's not for like recreation and just like having time. And so that's interesting. I want to try and teach my kids a very different perspective on many of these different events in life. And we're going to try to create something that's beautiful around these things because we will have the opportunity to do them or participate in them. And that's kind of the end of all the events right there. It's just kind of hard to be on the other side and be like, I can't go to the temple or be a part of my younger sister's, temple marriage, be on the outside, just kind of waiting. I don't know. It's going to be weird, and I've always been a part of all these things. I've been in bishoprics, first and second counselor. I've been gospel doctrine teacher, and I've loved all these callings. Loved them. For the people, part. But now that the truth isn't there for me, it just all goes away. So it's very, very bittersweet feeling. It's hard. It's hard being on this side of things. And feeling like it's still my fault, over these church history things that are very troubling. And yeah, kind of. Yeah. I'm going to go into some of these things. Feeling like you're not supposed to look or search for anything about the church that isn't approved by the church. Kind of cultish a little bit. Of you should be able to critically think and to openly question, but you don't question things like Joseph Smith being a real prophet or not, or the Book of Mormon being historical. Like you just don't question things like that. And if you do, you stay within the resources that the church has provided, which is that's creepy, Like no, you should just be able to freely think, and that's the culture. So for me, I'm sure what people think about me is he read anti-Mormon literature, or he wanted to sin, or he messed up in some way. Maybe he wasn't, faithful, something. Maybe he was cheating on his wife. That's why, he's a bad Mormon. And so it's fine that he's leaving because he doesn't get it. Hopefully he'll come back to us. And I'll speak to that. Hopefully he comes back to us is kind of where I feel right now. And it's kind of the reason why I have this YouTube channel is because it's very therapeutic for me to talk to somebody, talk to the camera, and tell them how I'm really thinking and feeling, because I don't get to say these things with my family necessarily. And if I do, it feels like I'm invisible, like I'm having this new life. And they're like, no, it's just a phase. He's going to come back to us. And we're just going to keep loving him until he comes back to us, because this is true. This is the truth. The church is true. Joseph Smith is a prophet of God. All these things are said and reiterated. And I'm looked at kind of weird. So yeah, even things like the gospel topic essays on LDS.org, I feel are not like people don't feel like those are real. Um, Not that they're real, but they feel like they're anti-Mormon stuff, and so you got to stay away from the anti-Mormon literature, anything that opposes the views of the church. Anyways, you got csletter.org. If you haven't read the CS letter, I made a video on maybe an intro to the CS letter, gospel topic essays as well. An intro there. Mormon Stories podcast and Radio Free Mormon are a couple really good podcasts that I've listened to. They've really helped me. So thank you both doing those different podcasts. Radio Free Mormon and John. Also, you can check out a bunch of YouTube videos of other people's experiences about leaving the church, and I'll bet you'll have a similar theme, that it's bittersweet because they don't want to leave their families. It's like, oh, my whole family's here. I'm pretty much going to leave my whole community and be an outcast. And to kind of sum up this video, I want to go talk about a film called Gaslight in 1944. It's a film that the man, he's murdered someone that's up in the attic, and there's some jewels and stuff there. I haven't seen it. We're going to be watching it, but he tries to make his wife seem like she's going insane by turning the gas lamps down. He would turn them down, just a little bit every once in a while, and she'd be like, "It's dark in here," and he'd be like, "What are you talking about? It's the same as it always has been." And so that's what I feel like the church can do. The term gaslighting is psychologically manipulating someone to believe like they're crazy. And faith crisis does that to individuals, where it says like, you're the problem. You're the problem. Faith crisis. Believe. Truth is here. And so that's just kind of scary. That feels a little culty to do that. And ultimately, I'm making these decisions because I want to be authentic. I want to be honest with myself. I want to make sure that my family, and my kids, that they see that I'm living true to myself as best I can, and that I know that I don't know everything. I know that things can change, and that's kind of what I'm about. But that wouldn't work inside the church, because you have that decision of remaining faithful, but not believing it. And that's just got to be a huge limbo. Some people can make it work, but for me, I just don't think that it's the right choice. And so I'm going to have to deal with not being able to share with my family, awesome conversations about the kingdom of God and belief and what's going to be happening in second coming and all these things. Like, I'm not going to be able to have that same experience. I'm not going to be able to, have that experience of baptizing my children, and having my mom and dad there, to witness it, or having them go on missions, or temple marriages with my kids. Or just, there's awkward pauses that happen when Bryce walks in the room. It's a sort of shunning that kind of happens because you don't have similar viewpoints, and you feel like you can't give that person time of day because then you're agreeing with them. It's really weird. But yeah, because I'm leaving, it feels like dishonor on my family. Dishonor because they had someone leave. It's like, oh, that's so sad. You had a son leave. Oh, that's so sad. And they think that I'm not going to be there with them in the afterlife and the celestial kingdom. Whoa, it's just a lot. And the other day, I had some family members that were just posting, faith-related things on the church and on Christ and on Jesus, and just really faithful things. But yet, I'm not really allowed to post things that are in just a regular belief that's in contrary to that. You're not really allowed to do that. You can, but like crickets, it's just like there's no open discussion or open mind. It feels like a double standard there for them to be able to be so forward on what they believe is true. But I'm the same person. Just as a missionary, I'm still a truth seeker. I'm seeking truth, and I'm sharing what I know. And so being asked to be silent on these things I can't. because I want to spread truth. And now this is what I think is truth, but I mean, obviously, I've been very wrong before, and so I know things can change. But you kind of just have to take things in the moment of where you're at right now, and you have to use your logical brain and see if your gut check, and then that's what authenticity is. Being authentic with that, being syncing up with that. And so, yeah, I still want to share truth. What I think is real. I want to have open and critical conversation. I want my kids to be able to do that. I want them to be open, critical. And okay, now I really need to wrap this video up. When I left the church, it felt like something or someone died, and I think that someone was me. It died for my parents, for my siblings. They felt like their brother died. Like, it really is a spiritual death, and I know things will get better, but right now it's still really weird. Relationships have died. Now I have to rebuild those, which I think will be really good. Sorry about that. My computer was having some issues, and I'm back, and it's dark, and we're going to finish this video. So I was saying that after we told people that, like, we were having serious questions, serious issues with church stuff, Joseph Smith, with a lot of the church's truth claims, it did feel like something died, and we all cried about it, and it was really hard. My wife and I feel like we came to a very, very low spot, and it was like we were the only one left in a very dark, room. Like, there's only just us, and it was really special because it was just us there. So we clung to each other, and it was something very special and terrifying and scary. But we feel much closer through all of this, and I'm a firm believer that I know it's funny to say firm believer, but at least I do think this principle stands true, that you can take your darkest pain and hurt, and you can turn it into something that is so beautiful. Hard things can be your biggest propellant towards something bigger, better, greater, whatever it is. Hard things can just be so beautiful, and this has been a very beautiful thing for us, and we're trying to see the beauty in it, even though it's still very painful and hard. So again, I feel like I didn't leave the church. I feel like the church left me, because I disagreed with such large truth claims with the church, and the blame was placed on me for the faith crisis, that I didn't have enough faith to see through those anti-Mormon literature things, those things that are not part of the church, that they're, the church is about faith and believing. And there just wasn't really a place to be after that point, because I either had to be silent or to conform, or to be in a place that I didn't feel was true or right anymore, that there was harm being done. I do believe there is harm being done, but I do also think that people can be in the church and it can work for them. But just for people like me, it just wasn't going to work anymore. And I know that I'll make new friends and it'll be better in the future. It's just really fresh, really just here in 2020, and just the end of 2019 is when I'm finding out all of these new things. And my wife and I are going through the CES letter and having a conference that October, and just a lot of really hard discussions, a lot of crying, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. And yeah, I still believe that leaving the church is a very good decision for me at the moment. Obviously, I've been very wrong about things before, and so I'm not smart enough or dumb enough to know what's going to happen in the future, and I know that things will change. But for the foreseeable future, I see it very hard for me to be able to return to that, to be a true believer Mormon again. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hitting the like button, for sharing this video with other people that might be going through something similar. If you like this content, please subscribe. I'll be putting out many more videos on Mormonism related topics and experiences. If you would like to hear something specific, please let me know in the comments or reach out to me directly for any collab or anything that would be interesting to see on this channel. I would love to know about it. Anyways, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.